Welcome, beloved chosen one. Listen closely to this. Some moves are so powerful that even the heavens cannot remain seated. Ponder that for a moment. We are talking about the kind of decision that makes angels rise from their seats. Their wings brush the air, roaring with approval like the loudest stadium you have ever heard. Except here, it wasn't for a trophy, a gold medal, or an Instagram-worthy victory. It was for you. Here is a fact that might shake you in the invisible realm. Not all of our actions are considered significant. Some only cause a slight tremor. But there are rare moments where a single choice, a single step, shakes the atmosphere so violently that the heavens explode. This is what you just did. And the craziest part is that on Earth, it probably seemed small, discreet, ordinary. The people around you might have thought, is that all? Is that it? But the spiritual realm saw the truth. You did not simply make a move. You altered the script of your destiny. You did not win because you played louder, flashier, or more slyly. You won because you acted like a master chess player who sees checkmate 12 moves ahead while your opponent is still celebrating the capture of your pawn. And yes, if you are wondering, the angels truly did rise for you. It is astonishing when you think about it. Celestial beings with perfect posture suddenly standing as if to say, "My God, they did it! So fasten your seatbelt." Because when you realize that your last move was not just a victory, it was a spiritual spectacle. Firstly, you executed a move invisible to untrained eyes. Your last move did not make headlines in human spaces, but it sent shockwaves through the invisible realm because it was imperceptible to those who lack spiritual vision. On the surface, it seemed mundane, an ordinary step, perhaps even something people thought you would do anyway. But in reality, this move was calculated, deliberate, and profoundly strategic. It was not born from impulse or desperation. It came from an insight that most people cannot reach. You saw an opening that no one else could see, and you acted without shouting it from the rooftops. This is why the heavens reacted with such intensity. When something is invisible to untrained eyes, it has a way of going unnoticed by earthly opposition. The enemy cannot attack what it does not recognize as a threat, and your move was hidden in plain sight. The people around you were perhaps too distracted by noise, ego, or superficial dramas to notice the shift that had just occurred. This is exactly what you wanted. You did not need them to approve, understand, or even applaud it. You just needed to do it, and you did it flawlessly. This was not the kind of action that would trend or cover you in instant validations. In fact, to some, it probably seemed insignificant, even passive. But the angels could see the weight of what you had just dismantled. They saw the chains that shattered when you did it. They saw the ripple effect triggered for your future. They saw the trap you avoided because you acted with wisdom, not with emotion. Invisible moves demand a level of maturity that most people never reach. It is easy to make grandiose, dramatic gestures to prove something. It is easy to fight battles in public, where everyone can see your courage. But it is an entirely different thing to fight with a precision so measured that the enemy only realizes your victory once the game is over. This is the space in which you operated. This is why the angels did not simply smile or nod. They stood up. They saw someone refuse to play by the obvious rules. Someone who moved in such perfect harmony with divine timing that the victory was sealed before anyone realized the battle had shifted. You did not just make a move, you made the move, and heaven made sure it did not go unnoticed. Secondly, you broke a chain that would have bound generations. What you did was not limited to solving a problem in your own life. It was about cutting something that had been suffocating the lineage for years, perhaps even generations. Most people fight for superficial relief. They patch holes, sweep things under the rug, and hope for temporary peace. You went deeper. You did not want to just treat the symptoms. You went directly to the source of the sickness. This is why your last move carried such significant spiritual weight. Generational chains are sneaky. They disguise themselves as, "That's just the way things are." They are patterns of thought, cycles of loss, habits of self-sabotage, unspoken rules that keep a family chained without ever questioning why. Breaking these chains is not only difficult, it is dangerous because you confront something that has been comfortably settled in your lineage for decades. Most people avoid it completely because it is too complicated and the cost is too high. But you decided that enough was enough. When you made that move, you did not simply turn your back on a toxic cycle. You slammed the door so hard that it can no longer be reopened. This is why the angels exploded with joy. They were not only applauding your personal victory, They were celebrating the fact that all who come after you will be able to walk on a cleaner, freer path. The move you made did not only change your story, it rewrote the family script. This kind of breakthrough always has a high price. You had to stand firm while being misunderstood, perhaps even ridiculed by the very people you were trying to free. You had to withstand pressure from all sides to just drop it or accept things as they were. You refused because you knew that the longer you tolerated it, the deeper it would root itself in the next generation. It takes rare courage to fight a battle for which you may never receive credit. Your future children, nieces, nephews, and generations yet unborn will live with more peace because of what you did, even if they never know your name in connection with it. This is why the applause came from heaven and not from earth. The chains you broke did not simply disappear. They shattered in a way that makes it impossible to rebuild them as they were. You did not only win for yourself, you won for an entire lineage. And that is a move worthy of a standing ovation from the highest realm. Thirdly, you moved without announcing your move, and that was the secret of its power. In a world where people broadcast every plan before even taking the first step, you chose a different path. You left no clue, you gave no warning, and you gave no one the opportunity to prepare a counterattack. You acted in silence, and when others realized what you had done, it was already over. This is a level of discipline that most will never touch. Moving without announcing is not about being secretive just for the sake of it. It is about protecting what is sacred until it is strong enough to stand on its own. The truth is, premature exposure can kill a plan faster than any enemy could. Every time you talk about something too early, you open the door to doubt, sabotage, and distractions. Did you understand that? This is why your move was so clean. It arrived in the world fully formed, without the fingerprints of anyone's interference. Your silence was not a weakness, it was a strategy. You did not need cheering on or to prove you were doing something great. You trusted your move to speak for itself when the time came. This made it impossible for your opposition to prepare or block you. When they saw the results, it was too late for them to undo anything. The game was over before they even realized it had begun. This kind of restraint demands more strength than most people realize. It means containing your excitement when you want to share it. It means biting your tongue when people doubt you, knowing you could prove them wrong instantly, but choosing not to. It means carrying the weight of your decision alone until the right moment arrives to reveal it. It is not easy, but that is why it worked. The angels saw the wisdom in your timing. They saw how you avoided the trap set for you simply because you refused to let anyone know where your next step would land. This is why the heavens applauded, not just because you made a move, but because you made it in such a way that the enemy did not even get a chance to respond. Fourthly, you refused to trade your integrity for a temporary victory. You had the opportunity to take the easy win, the one that would have made you shine in the moment and would have instantly silenced some critics. It was there within reach. All you had to do was compromise a little, bend your values just enough to fit the situation, and you would have walked away with a quick victory. But you did not. You chose the harder path. You chose to protect your integrity even if it cost you. This is rare, and that is why it shook the heavens. The truth is, temporary victories are seductive. They promise relief, applause, and immediate validation. They whisper, "No one will know," or "It's not that bad." And in the moment, it can seem just pragmatic or strategic. But you understood something deeper. The moment you drop your integrity, you trade something precious for something disposable. You knew that once you cross that line, it becomes easier to cross it again, and soon, you might not even know where the line was. You did not take that risk. You refused to be bought by flattery, bribes, or shortcuts. You refused to let anyone own your decisions because they offered you something. You refused to sell your soul for the comfort of a victory. Today, you were willing to accept the loss in the moment to protect the long-term victory that cannot be taken away. This is what made your move so powerful. The angels saw the temptation you faced, and they saw you turn away from it with your head held high. They saw that you were not only thinking about what was easiest, you were thinking about what was eternal. You proved that your convictions were not for sale. No matter how tempting the offer, this kind of choice often makes you look foolish in the short term. People may think you missed your chance or that you sabotaged yourself, but time will reveal the truth. That quick victory you refused would have rotted in your hands. Instead, you kept what mattered most: your soul, your peace, and your unshakable character. This is the kind of decision that makes heaven stand up and applaud. For you did not only win for a moment, you won forever. Fifthly, you chose the battle that would kill the sickness, not just the symptom. Most people tackle what they can see. They fight the flare-ups, the obvious pain, the surface problems that are easy to point at and blame. This is why so many victories do not last. They are only temporary relief disguised as a solution. You did not fall into that trap. You refused to waste energy on symptoms when you knew the real enemy was hidden deeper. You had the patience and courage to go to the root, even if it meant the fight would be harder, longer, and more uncomfortable. The battle you chose was not glamorous. It did not bring quick satisfaction or immediate applause. It often felt like you were losing because you were not attacking the easy target everyone else was aiming for. But you knew better. You understood that if the root remained intact, the problem would come back stronger, smarter, and more stubborn each time. This is why you were willing to take the hits, endure the criticism, and push through the pain. You were not just looking to feel better now. You were fighting for a freedom that would last. Going to the root demands more than courage, it demands clarity. You must be able to see through the distractions, the manipulations, and even your own desire for immediate comfort. It means being strategic enough to know when not to waste energy and disciplined enough to hold firm when everyone is screaming at you to take the quick fix. This is the kind of discipline most people avoid because it hurts more before it gets better. You accepted that pain. You understood that temporary suffering was worth the price if it meant destroying the source of the problem for good. This decision was not only personal, it was generational. By uprooting the sickness, you prevented it from spreading further into your life, your relationships, into the lives of those who will come after you. The angels saw all of this. They saw the weight you carried and the wisdom in your focus. They saw that you did not simply want to survive. You wanted to be truly and completely free. And because you fought for the cure rather than settling for relief, the applause from heaven was not only for your victory, it was for the permanence of what you secured. Sixthly, you left without carrying the poison. Leaving is one thing, but leaving clean is something totally different. Most people leave a bad situation carrying invisible baggage, resentment, anger, the constant need to prove they were right. They can move away physically, but emotionally, they remain chained to what hurt them. This is how bitterness spreads, and the poison of the past continues to bleed into the present. You did not let that happen. You did not just leave. You left without taking the contamination with you. It would have been easy to dwell on the offenses again and again, to continue to feed on the injustice of it all, to sharpen your words for the moment you could finally show them. But you did not. You chose peace over revenge. You chose healing over nurturing grudges. You understood that carrying that kind of poison does not punish those who hurt you. It slowly destroys you. Leaving clean meant you had to let go of more than just people. You had to let go of the narrative in your head, the desire for closure on your terms, the fantasy that they would finally apologize and admit they were wrong. You accepted that you might never have those moments and you left anyway. This is a strength that cannot be faked. When you leave without bitterness, you free yourself from their energy too. You no longer react to them. You no longer make decisions influenced by their actions. You no longer let their tone define the tone of your life. You did not just start a new chapter. You entered it without bringing the infection from the old one. The angel stood up for that, because leaving clean is a declaration of victory on a higher level. Anyone can retaliate, anyone can nurture anger, but it takes a rare soul to free themselves and keep their heart intact in the process. This is where you become truly untouchable. You could have carried the poison and moved forward anyway, but that would have meant you had not truly escaped. By refusing to carry it, you deprived your past of the power to follow you. And that is why heaven celebrated, not just because you left, but because you left whole. Seventhly, you risked being misunderstood forever. You made a decision knowing full well that many people would never see it for what it truly was. You knew that no matter how much you explained, no matter how clear your reasons, some would distort it, others would judge it, and others would outright lie about it. And yet you went ahead. This is rare courage, the kind that values truth over image, mission over reputation. Most people build their decisions around how they will be perceived. They weigh not only the outcome, but also the appearance. They want to be right, but they also want to be seen as being right. You did not have that luxury. You understood that in certain moments, you cannot serve truth and image at the same time. One must always bow to the other. You chose truth, even if it meant your name would bear scars in certain circles forever. This was not just a willingness to be misunderstood. It was a willingness to be misunderstood permanently. You accepted that some would create their own version of events and pass it on as fact, that whispers and rumors might outlive the reality of what happened. You let them talk because you knew your duty was not to correct every mouth. It was to do what was right in the eyes of God and your own conscience. Choosing truth over image costs more than most realize. It costs relationships, opportunities, and sometimes even security. It can exile you from places you once belonged and make you a stranger among those who once praised you. But you refuse to let the fear of that loss control your steps. You were not willing to trade your authenticity for acceptance. The angels saw this sacrifice. They saw the silent solitude of walking a path where applause never comes but divine approval never leaves. They saw you hold firm as false stories spread, trusting that in the eternal record your truth would remain intact. Some victories are visible immediately. Others only reveal themselves with time. You chose the latter. You secured the kind of victory that does not fade, even if it means being painted as the villain in someone else's version of history. And heaven stood up for that kind of integrity. Eighthly, you made a decision that had no built-in human applause. You made a move that was not designed to impress anyone here. It was not trendy, it was not glamorous, and it was certainly not the kind of thing people scramble to congratulate you for. In fact, you knew even before acting that this choice would likely go unnoticed or worse, be questioned by those who did not understand. But you were not seeking human applause. You were seeking alignment with what was right, even if no one else was clapping. Most people are motivated by recognition. They want to feel validated by those around them, to see their actions celebrated and affirmed. There is nothing fundamentally wrong with that, but it is dangerous when it becomes the reason for your actions. You did not operate from that place. You acted knowing that your reward would not come in the form of likes, headlines, or public honor. You acted because it was what heaven required of you in that moment, no matter the silence that would follow on earth. This type of decision-making strips the ego bare. Without an audience to impress, your motivations are laid naked. You discover if you are doing it because it is right or because it is convenient. You proved you were willing to do the hard thing without anyone cheering you on. This is spiritual maturity in its purest form. Obedience without the comfort of recognition. And the truth is, this is the kind of movement the invisible realm notices most. Heaven does not weigh the size of your audience, it weighs the purity of your intention. The angels saw that you did not wait for public approval before acting. They saw that you were willing to risk being invisible if it meant staying in divine alignment. When you take steps like this, you also free yourself from the chains of people-pleasing. You cease to be influenced by trends, opinions, and the superficial lure of validation. Your compass turns towards something higher and more stable. This is why this move, though quiet to human eyes, was your trumpet blast to heaven. No, there was no standing ovation from people, but there was one from the highest realm. And that applause lasts far longer than any recognition the world could have offered you. You did not just act without applause. You acted without needing it at all. This is the kind of victory that resonates in eternity. Ninthly, you became the exact answer to a prayer you did not even utter. Your last move went far beyond a personal victory. It became the solution to prayers you never heard and to problems whose existence you were unaware of. Sometimes the impact of what you do extends in a way that can neither be measured nor predicted. You did not only free yourself, you became, without knowing it, the breakthrough others were desperately waiting for. Even if those people were strangers or spirits caught in invisible chains, there are battles raging beneath the surface of life that most cannot see. People pray for relief, for change, for answers that seem impossible to find. Your move, quiet, deliberate, and profound, answered those prayers without you even realizing it. You shifted energies, shattered spiritual strongholds, and opened doors that had been locked for years. What you did sent ripples through communities, families, and even realms you did not know were connected to your struggle. This kind of invisible impact is rare because it demands that you act not for recognition or reward, but from pure alignment with what is right. You did not seek validation and you did not ask for credit. You simply acted in the moment, trusting the process, even when the outcome was unclear. The result was far greater than you could imagine, far beyond what you had planned. This is why the angels applauded so loudly. They saw the full scope of your movement. The way it untangled knots in places you never visited, healed wounds you never saw, and freed spirits you never met. Your action was a key unlocking chains for people and souls who were crying out in silence. This kind of breakthrough is both a blessing and a responsibility. It means your life is woven into a larger tapestry. A tapestry where your choices affect more than just yourself. It means that even when you feel isolated or invisible, you are part of something vast and divine. Knowing this can change how you see your struggles and your victories. Your moves matter far beyond your immediate circle. You are not just surviving. You are healing entire invisible communities with your faithfulness. The standing ovation from heaven is proof that you became exactly what was needed, even before you knew to ask for it. 10thly, you took the blow that others would not have survived. You remained standing where others would have fallen. When the blow came, many around you would have been broken, destroyed beyond repair, or pushed to give up. But you took it. You absorbed the weight of that pain and pressure in silence, carrying it alone because you knew deep down that you were built to withstand it. This was not about showing off your strength or playing the hero. It was about holding space in silence for what needed to be done. Others might have collapsed under the same shock, retreated, or had their spirit broken. But you remained. You did not just survive the blow. You survived it without losing yourself. You carried burdens that would have destroyed less resilient souls, and in doing so, you kept the path open for those who could not face that kind of trial. Your endurance became a shield for others, even if they never realized it. This kind of silent sacrifice is invisible to most people. It does not come with cheers or recognition. In fact, it often looks like weakness or stubbornness to the outside world. But in the spiritual realm, nothing is overlooked. Every moment you stood firm, every ounce of pain you carried without complaint was recorded in the heavens. You did not flee from the blow. You did not dodge it or try to escape it. You faced it head-on, knowing that if you fell, the consequences would be far worse for all who were connected to you. Your strength was not only physical or emotional, it was spiritual. It was the kind of strength that does not seek glory, but accepts responsibility because it understands what is at stake. This sacrifice is not something you boast about or use as a weapon. It is a quiet, powerful fact of who you are. The angels know it. They witnessed you absorbing what others could not, and that is why they stood up and applauded you. Because you did not just survive the blow, you transformed it into your armor, your testimony, and your victory. 11thly, you refused the offer designed to own you. You were presented with what looked like a golden opportunity, something that promised ease, advancement, or acceptance. On the surface, it shone with all the signs of success, the kind of offer most people would seize without hesitation. But you saw beyond the glitter. You recognized what it truly was. A trap disguised as a blessing, a leash cleverly wrapped in luxury. Many would have taken it without question, blinded by the immediate gain and the applause that would follow. But you refused. You understood that some deals have a price that no amount of money, status, or comfort can justify. The cost was your freedom, your integrity, and in the end, your soul. You chose to walk away from what seemed like a victory because you knew it was not worth selling yourself. Saying no to this kind of offer is not easy. It means standing alone, turning your back on what others covet, and trusting a better voice, even if it is invisible and uncertain. It means valuing your inner truth over external validation. You made a choice that said loudly and clearly, your worth is not for sale, and your path cannot be bought. This kind of decision shakes the spiritual realm. The angels saw that you rejected chains disguised as a gift. They applauded your refusal to be owned, your refusal to exchange eternal freedom for temporary gain. This refusal was a declaration of sovereignty that few possess. Walking away from what looks like an opportunity often feels like losing, but in truth, it is the beginning of a real victory. You did not just say no. You reclaimed yourself from a system designed to possess you. Your move was not just courageous, it was revolutionary. This is why heaven stood up and offered you a standing ovation. Because in a world full of people eager to be bought, you chose to remain priceless. 12thly, you resisted the urge to prove your power. You had every reason to show your strength, the temptation to flaunt, To expose every weakness of those who doubted you or wronged you was real and powerful. You could have unleashed truths like incendiary bombs, burning bridges and clearing the air in an explosive grand moment. But you did not. You held back, not because you were weak or uncertain, but because you knew something deeper. Real power does not need to make a spectacle. Most people think power is loud. They think it is about making noise, proving dominance or displaying victories. But you know better. You understand that true authority is silent, stable, and unshakable. It does not need validation or applause to be real. It exists independently of recognition because it is rooted in who you are, not in what you say or do to impress others. Resisting that urge demands incredible restraint. It means choosing patience over impulse, wisdom over emotion, and long-term impact over short-term satisfaction. You realize that proving your power in the moment might win the battle but lose the war. You chose to be strategic, to keep your cards close, and to let your character speak for itself over time. The angels applauded because they saw the difference between a warrior who seeks revenge and a leader who commands respect through restraint. They saw your confidence in the silent space where no one else dared to linger. You did not need to destroy anyone because your strength was already undeniable. Withholding your power was not a matter of weakness or fear. It was a matter of mastery. It was knowing when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to remain silent. This kind of control is rare and precious, and it makes your victory not only impressive, but permanent. You did not burn everything down because you knew that some fires destroy more than they illuminate. Instead, you let your power grow in the shadows, ready to shine when the time was right. This is the kind of wisdom that makes heaven erupt in applause, because it is the mark of a true chosen one. 13thly, you moved in alignment, not from impulse. You did not act on a whim, or because the moment seemed opportune to everyone else. You moved in alignment with something far greater than immediate feelings or pressure. While many rushed to react, fueled by anger, fear, or desperation, you waited for that deep, silent confirmation before taking a step. This is why what seemed like a simple move to others was in reality a seismic shift in the spiritual realm. Impulse is loud and messy. It draws attention for a moment but often creates chaos or regrets. Alignment is calm and calculated. It can seem discreet, even invisible, but its effects are lasting and undeniable. Your choice to wait, to listen, and to respond only when the timing was perfect shows a level of spiritual maturity that few attain. You understood that rushing risks playing into the enemy's hands. Acting too early or too late can derail a plan designed by divine wisdom. So, you ignored the noise, the pressure, and the urgency everyone else felt. Instead, you trusted your soul's timing and the guidance coming from within. This is why your move stunned the spiritual world. It was not just what you did, but when you did it. You became the person who moves with the flow of a higher power rather than with the chaos of circumstances. This gave you an unshakable advantage. You were always one step ahead, even if no one on earth understood why. The angels stood up and applauded, because they recognized a move made with divine authority, not human emotion. They saw a spirit tuning in to the source, that you could wait for the exact moment to act, no matter how long it took. This patience and precision distinguished you and transformed your move into a breakthrough that resonates beyond what anyone can see. 14th, you played for the eternal scoreboard. Your last move was not for the applause, the instant win, or the quick gratification everyone else was chasing. You were playing on a completely different level, the eternal scoreboard where time is not measured in minutes or days, but in eternity. While many scramble for fleeting victories, you made a decision, understanding that true success is not temporary, it is permanent and unshakable. This kind of mindset is rare because it requires a shift in how you see life itself. It means valuing legacy over spotlights, purpose over popularity, and depth over drama. You were not playing just to win this round. You were playing to change the game entirely, rewriting the rules in a way that lasts beyond your lifetime. Every choice you made was weighed against this eternal perspective. You knew that some sacrifices would hurt in the moment, and that some victories would not be celebrated right away. But you accepted it because you were playing a higher game, a game that only the angels and your soul could truly understand. This is why the heavens exploded when you made your move. The angels did not just see a person win a battle. They saw a spirit secure a future that no one else could touch. They saw someone who refused to be distracted by temporary applause or the opinions of the crowd, and who focused instead on what truly matters in the grand scheme of things. Playing for the eternal scoreboard means your move is a seed planted for generations, a foundation built that cannot be shaken. It means your victory will be told in stories long after the moment has passed, influencing lives you may never meet but have touched nonetheless. You chose depth over glitter, legacy over trend, and permanence over popularity. This is why the angels stood up for your move, because you thought beyond the clock and played a game that no one else was ready or able to see. You have just witnessed moves so profound, so deeply rooted in divine wisdom, that they shook realms beyond human life. Every step you took was not merely a reaction or a fleeting victory, it was a masterstroke played at a level where eternity meets purpose. You moved discreetly but shattered chains that were generations old, refused shortcuts that would have cost your soul, and chose battles that heal rather than just appease. You carried burdens that others could not bear, and you left without the poison they expected you to keep. You risked being misunderstood, knowing that truth often stands alone, and yet you never wavered. You made decisions that were not accompanied by applause here on earth, but that earned standing ovations in heaven. Your power was not proven by noise or spectacle, but by restraint, alignment, and an unshakable focus on what truly matters. Not temporary victory, but eternal legacy. This is the plane of the chosen ones, those who play for the eternal scoreboard, whose victories resonate far beyond the moment, and whose integrity remains untouchable. Your last move was not just a move. It was a statement that you are aligned with a higher purpose, carrying a weight and a wisdom that commands respect even in silence. Remember this. The world may never see or fully understand what you have done, but that does not diminish its impact. The angels saw it, heaven celebrated it, and your soul will carry its power forever. Stand tall, knowing that your path is marked by divine strategy, profound courage, and eternal victory. This is your moment. The standing ovation has already begun. If this message has touched you and you are ready to step into the power of your own divine journey, make sure you do not miss what comes next. Click the subscribe button now to stay connected to the truth and wisdom that changes lives. If this video has moved you, show some love by putting a like. It helps more people discover the power that awaits them too. Do you have thoughts, experiences, or breakthroughs you want to share? Leave a comment below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you know someone who is walking their own path of transformation, share this video with them. Sometimes the right message at the right time changes everything. Together we are building a community of divinely aligned and unstoppable souls. Do not just watch from the sidelines. Join us and be part of this powerful movement. Your next breakthrough could be one click away. God bless you.